Welcome to another episode of the Power of Choosing podcast,
where today we are talking all about how labels define us.
Yes, labels are so important, and I feel like it's something I talk a lot about to my clients and anyone that'll listen, really, because the labels that we give ourselves are what define us. They are how we think about ourselves, how we think about our limitations or what we can succeed in. They're the limit that we put on our abilities, on who we are, what we're capable of. And we also don't often question them. So
No.
we learn these labels from, could be a really early age, and people give us them, we take them on from things that happen, and then we don't think to question them. So they just live, and that's who we become. So I have always been someone who's late. So this is a massive label of mine. I can't be on time. I'm always late. Every day for school in the morning, my sister was screaming at me because she was an on-time person, hated being late, and her twin sister is like chaos personified, running around and just can't be on time. And it just felt physically impossible. And then I just got known as the late one. So meeting someone, we're going out, just text them like on my way. People would expect it. So it's kind of built into who I am, which added to this label. Oh, Claire's always late. And I am now an adult who has my own children that have to be places. And I've caught myself doing this recently where I've been having banter with people and saying, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get my child to school on time because I'm always late. And it has been my story since forever. So then it makes sense that that's my story now. And now school is 8:50. And that's when school starts. There's no, oh, you can drop him off later because you have to be there for registration. And I've been chatting to people like, oh, how am I going to do it? Like, it's just not who I am. I'm going to be late every day and then get in trouble. And this is the kind of jokes that I've been having with people. And it was only recently that I thought, wait a minute, I'm a coach. I know exactly what I'm doing here. I am setting myself up for failure because our brain is like listening to everything we're saying. And our brain is like, right, we're just not someone that's going to be on time. So that's just not what we're going to be able to do. So we might as well relax. It's just, we're not capable. And it's listening and it's taking all this in. So what I now say is I'm somebody who can get my child to school on time. I'm somebody who is going to plan and set off early and have a nice leisurely morning and be there in time for a bit of play before school. Our mornings are going to be like spacious and peaceful and fun. And I get to decide that. There's a part of me that's like, oh, well, your brain doesn't work that way. And yes, maybe I have a bit of time blindness and it is something that doesn't come as naturally as other people. And I get to decide whether that becomes a factor because I've been on time for things before. I know it's totally possible. And I can set alarms. I can prepare things the night before. I can set myself up for success. And that starts with not having banter with people like, oh, well, I'm going to be that parent, aren't I? When actually, that's the choice that I get to make. And I can say, no, I'm not going to be that parent because I'm going to set myself up for success.
What I liked there, too, as someone who also in the past or still currently at times identifies as being late, was that you made distinction of I'm going to decide. And that is so key. That's the key to this part is that when we do take on that identity of being late, as we're talking about here, that's what then shows up. But when we decide a different path, we disrupt the path that we're typically taking and we disrupt it so that we can choose and decide which one we want to do. We act, and this is kind of how I heard it, we act like blasé about it. Oh, I'm just that parent. I'm just this or blah, blah, blah. And we can also decide, do we want to be blasé about it, or do we actually want to decide who we want to show up as? And I think that's such a great thing for us to hear, because I know for me, I had my own little narrative about being late as well. And I had to build in extra time to get to the location because it always started whether I was there or not. And then I was then costing myself money by choosing to not actually show up at the time that it started, ready to go, not just getting there when it started, but ready to actually go. So I like this idea that you're going to be there at the playground, just happy. We get to decide, and you said it so beautifully. We can let the limitations direct us, or we can decide something different than the limitation and open up to a different choice. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and my brain's gone two ways. So there's one way that's like we just naturally are a certain way. We have
Yes.
strengths, we have things we're not as good at, and then we tend to focus on the strengths and you go with that. And some people are better at things than others, like timekeeping and various other things. And there's a safety in doing the same thing that you've always done.
Mm-hmm.
So these two together, okay, this is naturally not my strong point, and it's just what I've always done, and I probably get something from it. Adrenaline helps me, I don't know, whatever it is. Like there's a buzz there, or I get to have this banter about, oh, look at me, aren't I ditzy? Whatever it is, we get things from it. So we have a natural, you do what you've always done
Mm-hmm.
kind of mentality. And then this is how labels get really stuck on. It's because it just feels like that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't realize the labels anymore. We have taken it on, and they can be good things as well. My son will chat to everyone, and we go to a restaurant and he loves to chat. And he will go round different tables and want to chat to everyone, regardless of whether they're mid their own conversation. He's 4, so he doesn't quite get the social norms yet. And I chat with the parents and like, oh, he's so confident, isn't he? Oh, wow, he can chat to anyone. And this is what he's hearing. So he is growing up with this, I'm confident, I can chat to anyone, which I did as well. So then by the time you get to adulthood, he might not have that, oh, we can't talk to people, it's weird and awkward and we don't do that, which I know a lot of people have. So I'll happily talk to anyone. So whether it's our church group or squash, I'll be like, I'm going to go talk to you. I've noticed you and I'm going to bring you in. And then other people are like, hey, you're just going to talk to her. Well, what are you going to say? And it worries them. And so much I see people say when my 4-year-old is like bowling over to everyone, they're like, oh, she's just shy. She's not the kind of person that can talk to others. And this is what they're hearing. And what it could also be is this random 4-year-old that you don't know is coming up to you. You're alarmed, you don't know what to say, you're 4. We don't have to add a meaning, whereas we like meaning, so then parents are like, oh, she's shy. And then that's what they're going to hear. And we do it with kids, and then kids grow up to adults. We label everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we also create that identity for them. I love the imagery of the fact that when you were young, you did the same thing your 4-year-old does of chatting. So it's like that identity is being infused at a very young age of like, oh, she can go talk to anybody. And now as an adult, you can go talk to anybody. And so we need to be careful of that aspect. I want to actually pull it back to something in the sense that I'm curious if you have the same reaction that I do. When people say that's just the way that I am, does that just like irk every part of your being as a coach?
Like, you don't have to be anything.
That's something that we both zone in on because it is important opening up versus that limitation put upon yourself. I have a client who has a lot of limitations, and something came up and she was trying to do it and she was like, oh, I'll just wait till someone else gets here to ask them for help. But in working with me, she actually paused herself and was like, no, I can do this, and gave herself the space to be like, how can I accomplish this? So she got creative of how she was going to accomplish this task that she was trying to do that she couldn't do physically on her own. And she found a way to actually achieve it. What I loved about that example is that was like in real time with things that happen, she was able to not let her identity of someone who can't do things actually shift over into I can do things. And then with that, when she was able to do it, find a really unique way to accomplish the task, she was able to be like, I did that. There was a sense of pride and a sense of honestly empowerment that she could do it without asking. And I think of myself, I will go around and I will be like, ask questions on how to accomplish some kind of household chore. And it might be typical that it's a man's role. And I still want to do it because for me, it's this sense of pride that I myself can accomplish these things. It goes back to that whole thought process of teach someone to fish and they'll know how to eat for a lifetime versus just giving them a fish. And so that's the purpose I take. I like being open to being able to not sit in that box of this is just who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about times where I've been on a train and I've been looking around like, oh, I need someone to help me with my bag. And then, oh, there's no one around. And I just pick it up and put it in. Like, oh, so I could have just done it myself, but I'm like, oh no, I'm a weak person that needs help. And with carrying my children, if my husband's there, I'm like, oh, I'm getting tired. Can you take them? And if he's not, it's just like, yeah, one on one arm, one on the other, walk down the stairs. I'm fine. So I just switch into this I need help mode, like really easily. And I'm okay with asking for help. And that's great when you need the help. If someone wants to carry my bag up the stairs, great. I won't end up all sweaty and hot at the top. And if no one's there, I can totally do it myself and be that strong, independent woman. We need a little reminder of like, oh, actually, I can do things on my own.
So, working with my clients, there's something that happens while they work on this muscle of developing who they choose to be. I really have them lean on me in a way of like, what would I think? You need to develop this muscle till you can actually be in charge of that muscle of like, oh, wait, and question yourself if that's who you want to be. But initially, because it's so under the radar, we don't necessarily hear that voice. And so we just assume that identity is who we are, and that's not the case. Open to possibility of different things, challenging it, and it does work well when you have support to be able to give you that. But if you don't have that, if you're not currently working with a coach, what you want to do is find books that you read. Maybe there's different things that you listen to. What would they do so that you can see outside of that rather than just going into the reflex that you have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the same with my clients as well. They'll start second guessing their initial thoughts. So they'll come and they'll be like, oh, I was about to do what I always did. And then I thought, oh no, Claire would do this instead. And it's not about them becoming us. It's about them
Correct.
learning that muscle of, this is what I've always done. Is it what I want to do now? And that's the question. This is what I've always thought I was, this kind of person. Is this who I want to be now? And how can I change that? So what we want for our listeners is like, what labels are no longer serving you? What are holding you back? Let's recognize that they're just labels that came up at a certain point, and at any point we can decide we want to change them. And sometimes it takes work. Sometimes it's a simple, I'm not this anymore, and you're never that again. Sometimes, like with me in the time, like it's okay, I have to train myself on how to be on time. Is it, I'm just going to decide I'm confident and I'm just going to go and speak to a stranger or stand up and do a big meeting at work because I am now confident. And then see what happens. So what labels do you want to give yourself? I'm always on time. I'm confident. I'm happy. I love life. I love people. These are the kind of labels that are going to give you a good outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So change yours today.
Love it. Thank you for coming to another episode of The Power of Choosing,
where today we were talking about labels.